Welcome to the Board Game Spotlight Podcast. Get ready for an entire hour of gaming goodness, brought to you by our incredible sponsors: IV Studios, Fireside Games, Van Ryder Games, Renegade Game Studios, Mythic Games, This Little Bean of Mine, Game Toppers LLC, Kicktraq, Arcane Wonders, AEG, Draw Lab Entertainment, and of course, our amazing Patreon supporters. This podcast would not be possible without you. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Lizzie Funkhauser.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Board Game Spotlight Podcast. I'm Derek.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Ruel.
And we are excited to bring you another hour-ish of board game goodness. So stick with us.
Welcome to Grab Bag, a brand new segment where you never know what questions Derek is going to pull out of the bag.
All right, everyone. So we've got a new segment. We are going to flip-flop back and forth on the questions from the community, and we're going to do this new segment. Thanks to Josh Schwartz for this idea. We're going to have this grab bag of just a goodie bag. I don't know. It's going to be questions about your favorite worker placement game, or your favorite mechanism, or your favorite game from this publisher, or your favorite book you've read, or comic book, or TV show. I don't know.
It's going
to be a media grab bag, and I'm really excited about it.
The most recent show that you watched on.
Oh, the most recent
on
TV
streaming,
show.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. You know what, Lizzie? That's a great idea. Why don't we start with that one? I like it. So I'm going to create this bag, but that's a really good one. And that's going to be funny because I want Lizzie to go ahead and answer this one. So why don't you take us away?
Well, season 2 of Bridgerton dropped. So I just watched the first episode before recording this. So that's what I just did.
And was it good?
I mean, it's the first episode. So sure, it's really, the introduction to the new season and the new characters. I did read all the books. They're not great, but the TV show is way better. They developed an entire world. The books focus mostly just on like whoever the romance is between. And so Shonda really created a beautiful world, and she really added a lot of depth to it, and she added a lot of diversity to it, and really made it so much better than
nice. Is that
what
Shonda
it was
Rhimes?
Originally? Yes.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I don't. All I know her name, and I know Michelle really loved. Was it Grey's Anatomy? Was that Shonda Rhimes as well?
Yes. So I have not really watched anything. Like, I know she did Grey's Anatomy and Scandal, and I feel like there was
Scandal.
another
That's
big one.
it. Yeah.
I have not watched those shows. I have not watched a lot of like network TV for a long time, because we just haven't had like cable or anything. We've only done like streaming. So when Bridgerton came out, I was not super interested, and then everyone just kept talking about it, and I was like, okay. So I read the book first, because that's the kind of person I was like, this book was terrible. Why does everyone like this show?
No.
And then I watched the show, and I was like, wow, this is like the very few times do they take source material and improve upon it for like a TV show or a movie or something. But this is definitely one of those times. And I mean, I know it's like a Regency romance. This is not going to be for everyone. I'm sure like most of our audience is like rolling their eyes like, okay, let's get to something more relevant to me.
To board games.
But for the people who like Obsession, maybe. Right?
Good tie-in.
There we go.
Great tie-in.
Oh, very good. Very
I
good.
like it. Well played. Actually, that would be a fun thing. Can you tie a TV show to a board game? I'm gonna
marrying Mr. Darcy,
marrying
right?
Mr. Darcy is another.
Because I mean,
game.
the whole point of the show is to marry and find love. I mean,
so the most recent game. I almost said most recent game. The most recent TV show I watch is on HBO Max, and it's Our Flag Means Death. And it is a comedy with Taika Waititi.
I was just saying, isn't that you're watching that without me? I love him.
It is so funny.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
You usually tell me what you're watching.
I'll watch it again.
I will watch that.
It's so good. And it's a comedy on HBO Max. I've just finished it. I think it was eight episodes. And it's about this ragtag. He used to be this well-off person who had everything, and he didn't like his life, and he leaves to be a pirate, but he's not a good pirate. And he surrounds himself with a swashbuckling crew of people who are also not good pirates. So it's just like this ragtag team of people who are just hilarious together.
Are they
They're,
also like aristocrats who have no idea what
he's
they're
the only
doing?
aristocrat.
Okay.
But they're all like C-list pirates. Like, you know, they would not be the cream of the crop. And then Taika plays, well, I shouldn't say who because it is kind of revealing. Anyways, Taika's in it. I don't want to spoil anything. Go watch this. And I will tie this to Dead Reckoning from John D. Clare, which is just now delivering, which is a swashbuckling exploration pirate game with card crafting. The end. Okay.
Jimmy, do you think you have something? We've added a second element. No, I know. I mean, like the show is easy, but like we've added.
If you can't add a board game, it's okay. I just went above and beyond.
Yeah, I've got no clue how to tie this one in, but we just went on a little family vacation this week, and so I was with the kids. So all we watched were kid shows this week, but we watched Encanto again, and I'm kind of torn on this movie. I know tons of people love it, and so I've watched it one time, kind of in the middle. Second time, I'm warming up to it a little bit. So, but I do love. I enjoyed it. I don't know. Is that a controversial take? I don't know. I know lots of people loved Encanto.
I don't really think that's controversial. I mean, it may not be for everybody. I mean, listen, they're going to be, not everything's for everybody.
Yeah. I like the music much more than the movie. Like, I'll sit and listen to the soundtrack over and over, but I've only watched the movie once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The soundtrack is fantastic, though.
Yeah.
And the message is good. The
soundtrack is fantastic. I agree. Like, Michelle and I, we tried to watch it twice, and both times we just weren't really into it, but we've enjoyed the music. But yeah, the film itself, for whatever reason, it's just not for us, I think.
Yeah, but a board game tie-in, I got no clue. I don't know what I would tie the family magical houses. I don't know. There might be a board game about that.
Ruel, what about you?
So I'm one of those type of guys that I have this huge, watch list on Netflix, Amazon, everything. And so I look at it when I want to go watch something, and sure enough, what do I pick? I pick something I've watched like 40 times before,
The Office, yeah.
That's me too. I just finished watching Office for like the 12th
right?
time.
Yeah, so I have all these great shows I really want to get into, and what do I watch this week for the, more than a couple of dozen times? I watched The Shawshank Redemption again. Classic
that's
movie.
a good one, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that movie. And it's just one of those things I can put on the background. It's either that or like The Terminator. Things I've seen 1,000 times. And it's for television at that point. It's a classic. Lizzie, I don't know. Have you read the original book? It was based on a Stephen King novella.
No, I haven't. I actually only watched the movie. Oh, it was like a couple years ago. I was very late to the game. I've only seen it once.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
It's I think it's a modern classic, and it's got Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins, great cast, and so I really enjoyed the book, and I felt like they, like you were talking about earlier, Lizzie, I felt like they did justice to the book. If they've improved on some things, I did miss a couple of things, but I think overall it's a great experience. Now, as far as a board game tie-in, is there any board games about like breaking out of prison? There's gotta be, right?
Lock Up.
Yes.
Lock Up. There it is.
Yeah, from Thunderworks.
I mean, are they it's more like 100%. Gangs in prison, but I mean,
absolutely.
It's
we're
in prison,
doing very loosely, very just,
Listen, this is
humans versus kobolds, right?
Kobolds, yep.
Kobolds, right? Yeah. So, I mean,
listen, this is off the cuff, I mean, you just never know what's going to
happen. So,
love it.
That was our grab bag random question.
That was the grab bag. I like it. That's fun.
That was, fun. Not quite board game specific,
matter.
But
this
it was
is our
adjacent,
podcast,
and this is a lot of fun.
Listen,
we know that everybody who listens to this, we hope that you're more than just board games. We are certainly more than just board games.
It's true.
And there's a lot of crossover stuff, and I want to bring that out. If it's media, I want to talk about it because there's so much fun stuff going on, and there's so many I want to talk about when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out on Disney Plus, you better believe we will be talking about that on this podcast at some point.
There will be an entire episode dedicated to it.
Ruel,
Derek will not be able to shut up.
We might have to do a special episode, Derek. Is it May 25th yet? That's all I got to say.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited.
On the Toppers, brought to you by Game Toppers LLC. Game Toppers are a portable gaming top that converts your existing table into a high-quality yet affordable gaming solution.
Let's move into our next segment, and we're going to go to On the Topper, and we're going to talk about the games we've been playing over the last few weeks.
Awesome.
Ruel, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so recently I played a game that was on my shelf opportunity for a while, and it's one of those games that, like, now that I've played it, I'm kicking myself for not playing it earlier. And it is Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. It's the roll and write version of Dinosaur Island. So Dinosaur Island, it's basically Jurassic Park, the board game. It was worker placement and, all kinds of good stuff. Dinosaur Island Roar and Write takes that and puts it in the roll and write formula. But what it is, I played it once, and then I played it twice, and I played it 3 times. It's immediately on my top 10 of roll and write games of all time. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to get rid of my copy of Dinosaur Island because this
is that right?
Captures the feeling of Dinosaur Island with less setup. Remember Dinosaur Island? It takes forever to set up that game, right?
Yeah,
this one, all you do is take out the dice and get a sheet of paper and a pen. That is
literally, we're just talking about this today.
We were.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Like that Duelosaur roll and write literally was.
It was Dinosaur Island.
See,
for us though, I prefer Duelosaur Island, the 2-player. Have you played that one?
Really? Mm-hmm.
I have. I really enjoyed Duelosaur, but I feel like Dinosaur Island Roar and Write even captures the original game even more.
It does. It does capture the game.
It's much
even more.
The first game, but I like the little tweaks and stuff that Duelosaur offers.
I do Duelosaur is great too.
I had a little bit of issue with like the placements for
the building of the placements was interesting to me because one of the things, I mean, Lizzie and I both, that was our big negative takeaway.
You couldn't be like corner to corner, that they had to have an entire space.
Yeah.
You want to just repeat what I'm saying?
Sorry. We both have the exact same negative.
Know.
And we were talking about it, it's like that was the one hang up.
Yeah. So I was not
so you're talking about
of it.
You're talking about placing the or the buildings or whatever. You cannot place them corner to corner. You have to have that space. Yeah, and actually that was a little funky at first, but I like that because it's yet a different type of restriction that you have to deal with. And I don't know. I really now having said that, I've only soloed it. I have not played it multiplayer, so I don't know how the multiplayer experience. But the solo game was fantastic. I really enjoyed the feeling of Dinosaur Island in half the time, or even a quarter of the time, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. The setup
that's
on
one
that
I
game
really enjoyed. Yeah,
is brutal. The original.
Yeah,
Dinosaur
the
Island.
original. Just
I mean, I think we've only
setup.
played it once. It's just unless you're gonna like play it multiple times or like, it's just a beast to get onto the table.
It really is. Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy? You just went on that trip. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your your little vacation away, and then some of the games you got to play?
Oh yeah, we did kind of like a little staycation. It was close to home vacation is what I'm calling it. So we spent the first half of the week. That's dad code for cheap vacation. But we stayed at home for the first part of the week, and then we went to like a neighboring town, and then we rented a little kind of cabin about an hour and a half away, something like that. So we just went away. And so the first part of the week, I actually got to play a few games solo. And so the second part, we did a whole lot of family stuff. So we did Strike, which is a family favorite for the kids. And it's just so easy to set up. We played the new Jabba's Palace. It's like the love letter, but the Star Wars version. I don't know if y'all have played that or not.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
That is on my list that I would like to get. I'm hoping that my local game store picks it up because I love Love Letter. Love Letter was one of the games we played almost nightly when I was deployed. Like the guys just loved it. They loved it. They loved it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's got that mechanism of you just pick a card and play a card. And there's something so like a lot of people might look down on that, but when you're in that kind of a scenario with kids or friends and you're just hanging out, there's so much fun about not getting bogged down into the rules. No Dinosaur Island setup.
Yep.
You just shuffle the cards and you play again. Shuffle the cards, play again. And it's just great. And so with the kids especially, that's a super easy. They know how to play. And Jabba's Palace introduces like now there's 2 sects. So there's like you're either the palace or you're the rebels. And so there's new goals now where you could try to collect people from the other side.
Oh,
if you have more of them, then you win. And so at the beginning of a round or beginning of a game, I guess you flip out what the scenario will be. So it's not the typical love letter highest card wins. That isn't how it's always going to work out, but it still comes down to whoever survives, right? So, so if you can knock them out, you can still do that. But anyway, so it's great, and that was a lot of fun. So we did that.
Agreed. That's probably Jimmy. I'm glad you brought that up. It's probably my favorite love letter right now. Like the three that stand out to me are, Batman love letter.
Yes.
Marvel. The Marvel one is really cool.
The Marvel one is excellent. Yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet. That one's the Thanos one. That one's great. But also now Jabba's Palace as well is right up there for me.
See, when we tried the Marvel, I've got the Marvel one, and I remember we played it with the kids, and for us, it didn't work. It was like, I don't know if it was just too much or too different. Now maybe that we've got Jabba's Palace, maybe we could go to that next level with them. But for whatever reason, it was too big of a jump from the Batman love letter that we love. So anyway, so I guess it works for some, doesn't for others,
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I feel like Jabba's Palace feels like more pure love letter rather than the Marvel one. The Marvel one definitely feels like a step away from the basic formula. Yeah.
Right. So yep. So, I mean, I could talk more. I mean, I've been on vacation, so we played a ton of stuff.
Well, so did you get a chance to play anything new, or was there something that your kids were really excited about bringing out? I mean, you talked about Strike and Love Letter, but was there something that you personally were excited to get a chance to play?
You know how vacations go. We packed a whole bag full of stuff, and then we didn't get to them. And sometimes that's just all in how you feel. I brought the new Lost Ruins of Arnak with the expedition leaders, and I wanted to play that. Just some days when you're too tired, it just didn't make it to the table. But we did play Grim Masquerade, which is a family favorite, and that works for us so well. It teaches the kids how to be good sports when they lose, but and it also keeps them at the table. I don't know if you played some social deduction games. When you get knocked out, you're just out of the round. But with Grim Masquerade, you have to keep playing cards, and there's a wager card, so it keeps pulling you back to the table. And that works really good for my kids and family. So that's a family favorite there.
Real quick, can I talk about a new game that I just played literally 2 days ago?
Of course.
The new from Thunderworks Games, 10 Penny Parks.
Oh
man, it's on your shelf behind you.
It's on the way here right now. Oh my goodness! I
think people are going to really like this one. It's so Michelle and I are huge fans of Barron Park. This feels a little bit like Barron Park with worker placement introduced into it. It's good. Designer's Nate Linhart, and I think it's his first design, but the art by Vincent Dutray. I know there's a lot of people love his art for good reason. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful game. The components are rock solid, and probably took about 45 minutes for a 2-player game. I live streamed it, so I think you could knock it out even a little quicker than that for 2 players. But it plays 1 to 4. I'll probably give the solo game a real shot here real soon. But I loved it. It's building a theme park, and you're just generating income by advertising your park, and you're putting those little polyominoes together. And this has that little. It's interesting. We're just talking about Dinosaur Roaring, right? This one, you can only place them diagonally from each other. So only the corners. You cannot put sides to sides. There are only corners that can hit in this one. So a little different. You can expand your park and get more things there. But yeah, it's a wonderful, I would probably say a Gateway Plus game. But I think y'all are going to enjoy it. And that's 10 Penny Parks.
Wow, that looks so good. Now, is that a Kickstarter or is that a retail game?
Straight to retail from Thunderworks. Yeah.
It's available to pre-order right now, and it's shipping as we speak.
Yep.
Oh, good. And that's such a departure from when I think of Thunderworks games. I'm thinking of role player. I'm thinking of cartographer. So this, I'm kind of excited to see them. Of course, they did Cape May, which that was different from that.
They did.
But still, I'm excited to see them kind of go this direction and not so one note kind of thing. That's cool.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jimmy. I was when I talked to Tim over there when he had reached out, we had talked about having them live stream. He had told me about the game. I was like, I was surprised too. It wasn't Kickstarter; it was straight to retail. I was like, hey, this is great. I love that like you were saying, they're taking this different route or different way of publishing. So I think it's gonna be a hit for them. I'm not gonna lie. I think y'all are gonna enjoy it.
Wow, good.
Good. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
What about you two? What have you been up to these days?
Well, we got Creature Comforts in, so we played our first game of that. It's fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
Jimmy, you covered it for us while Derek was deployed, so we didn't get to see it at all, like, like a pre-production copy, we didn't get to play the prototype. So it was brand new to us, fantastic family level worker placement, like just the most adorable art. Really easy to learn, but some really great choices. I really like the simultaneous, like picking your worker placements. Like everyone does it at the same time, and then you individually go through and you actually like get your resources or take your actions. But I loved everything about it.
It was wonderful. Like it's my go-to family weight worker placement at this point. Like even beating out Stone Age for me. It's such a great production, and the gameplay, like Lizzie says, it's so fast with the simultaneous worker placement, and then you take your turn. I mean, Jimmy, it's a really quick game. And we added the expansions into it, and so that added a nice layer for more of your gamers, not really for kids. Like, I mean, kids definitely could do it, but the core concept of the game is really great for families and kids. But adding in those expansions and asymmetric player powers definitely helped bring up some of the complexity. And I got to play Ark Nova today.
I got to play Ark Nova today.
That's the one. Was it all that you expected?
It was incredible. And it's funny. It's funny because Isaac Villa and Bob Crowell had messaged Mike. I played with Mike Hinson and AJ Novacek, and Isaac had said, "Okay, I want to know how soon Derek says this is my game of the year." And so like, Mike was prodding me. He kept trying to get, and I'm like, what are you, like, I was really weird. I'm like, what are you trying to prod me for? And then he finally told me later, and I was like, and I was telling him like, yeah, I mean, this is good. This will be my top 10 of the year. And I wasn't like overly, like, because I could tell something was going on.
So you were trying to be reserved.
Sure enough, they had a little like side bet going on that I would say like round 2, it's the game of the year for me, because everybody knows I say everything's game of the year. But it was everything I expected, and it was incredible. Good. The mashup of some of the best mechanisms from some of my favorite games. Rajas of the Ganges with the 2 tracks meeting to trigger the end, terraforming Mars with the engine building. You have the tiling of something like a Barron Park or a New York Zoo, where you're building out a zoo and you're placing cubes on them that represent different animals. And oh my gosh, I'm going to try to teach it to Lizzie this weekend, because I have I really think that she's going to really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. And we were talking about this last show. I'd gone to Dice Tower West, and so did Stephanie. And literally, like every other table at some point, it just seemed like every other table was playing it, and people were just raving about it. So I cannot wait to play it.
So good. Nice. And I ended up winning, which helped, right? I mean, that did help, but it was still
Mr. Humble over here. I won.
Listen, it's because I don't get to win games very often, because I'm playing against Lizzie. So when I get to win, I'm really excited about it.
So dramatic. You win plenty. You beat me at Creature Comforts.
I did beat you at Creature Comforts. That was another close
game. You beat me at Lots Filled In. That's another game.
I did beat you at Lots.
We played that. Roll 'em right. Very cute.
Lots is great because it uses a mechanism I don't see a whole lot in Roll 'em Rights, in that you draft 2 dice, and one of them is picked for a color, and the other one represents the shape you're drawing in. And that's such a really cool mechanism that works really well in this one, because it's more like kind of a Tetris-y feel, and then you've got an area control where you're trying to get the most color, like most of a color in
touching in the within like the building that you're building. I really enjoy it. It's a really fun, quick game. Very good small box.
Yeah, I really, really like that one. What else? I mean, so the On the Topper segment is meant to just honestly be something we all talk about, and if you want to bring out more games, I mean, it's a totally open forum. You don't have to feel bad about like talking about a bunch of games.
Cool. I'm going to jump right in then and give you another game. About I'll say like 2 hours before we're coming here to record, Michelle and I just played Luzon Rails, Luzon Rails. It's a cube Rails game that was on Kickstarter about a year and a half ago or so. This one, it's special to us because our heritage is Filipino, and this one is set in the Philippines, and you are turn of the century investors in railways. So you're, it's a cube rails game. So you're investing in stocks of different rail companies. You're laying track, and you're trying to manipulate their value so you can pay dividends at the end of the round to get the most money. And what's interesting about this, I'm not a train game guy. I mean, I do Ticket to Ride. That's pretty much it. But it's not an 18xx. It's a cube rails, which I'm new. This is new to me. But we really enjoyed it. It was so good. It plays 3 players, but there is a 2-player variant that we found on BGG where it adds in a dummy player, and we thought it worked well. We made a couple of mistakes as in our learning game, but it was really neat to just manipulate all the stocks and try to okay, I have all the stocks in this one, but now if Michelle buys one, it basically lowers the value of mine, and then it's got a lot of that in it. And I think for an introductory game to this type of genre, I thought it worked really well. And for us, it was really neat because, having visited the Philippines just a few years ago, seeing some of the cities and stuff that we're familiar with. And, it's got some nice touches to that. But we were excited because it was sitting on my shelf of opportunity for about a year. My buddy Mike Risley that produces the 5x podcast, which I'm also a part of, he had gifted me a copy, surprised me with a copy because I had missed the Kickstarter. So shout out to you, Mike. Thank you so much. It's out of print now, but according to the designer, he is working with a company now to hopefully print out a second edition, because I think this should be in more. I think this should be on more tables. It's a wonderful game that is loose on rails. Have y'all played cube rails games or train games or anything?
No, I've never played any of those. Admittedly, we don't play a whole lot of train games.
Yeah.
I mean, Railways of the World is one of the few train games we've played.
Yeah, we enjoyed that too. I would say this is similar to...
Oh, Maglev Metro is so good. Metro.
Nice.
Love that game.
So this particular one, the cube rails genre, I guess it's not really a pick up and deliver. It's more strictly focused on the economics of, hey, you really want to pump up certain stocks that you own, and you sort of want to devalue your opponents. So I wouldn't call it a mean game, but it's definitely got a little bit of sort of semi take that to it. But it's a wonderful, I think it's a wonderful introduction to the genre, and I'm looking forward to playing more of these games in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Forbidden Games has one, something Baron Tycoon. I'm trying to think.
Oh, okay.
What it's called.
Where you're betting on the rails, and it's like a stock.
Yeah, it's a stock
game.
Yeah,
it was one of his first. I believe
it was one of his first. Yeah,
I can't think of the name for the life of me.
Yeah, it's totally slipping my mind, but that sucks. I can't think of it. We just got a chance to. I was able to teach. Well, I say teach. So for those of you who are listening, who maybe you have botched or really screwed up a teach of a game.
No,
I did that today. So no one's perfect. We're all human. I attempted and extremely poorly taught everyone how to play Scout, which is a new Oink game. Now the game is
super small box.
Phenomenal.
It was pretty fun.
It is my favorite small box card game to date of this year.
Oh wow.
Well, of this year. It's right now my leading card game. When you're talking small box game, card game, right now this is leading that genre. Last year 10 was in my small box card game, and it ended up being in my top 10 of the year. Scout absolutely has an opportunity to make it in my top 10 of this year. I really botched the play and the teach. No. But we fixed it in about the second or third round. Maybe the third round. There was a lot of
reading the rules.
Maybe the third round. Everybody got it. See, I was taught at Gamma, and I didn't retain a lot of that. So I should have read the rules again previous to playing. But it was kind of one of those things where it's we have some time before dinner, so let's pull it out and let's play, right?
Well, the first thing he does, he's like, okay, everyone gets 11 cards. He starts dealing. He deals it by 2. So he gets halfway through. There's 4 of us. And he's like, okay, does everyone have 11 cards? I was like, no, 2 of us have 12 and 2 of you have 10. You did that wrong. And he was like,
yeah, that math doesn't work, by the way.
Because he's like, if I deal all the cards, everyone should have enough. I'm like, that would work if you were giving everyone single cards.
Anyways, what did you think about the game after It
was actually pretty good. I mean, it was a very interesting take in that once the cards are dealt, you pick them up and then you can't rearrange your hand or reshuffle them or like the way the cards are dealt, that's how you hold it.
Yeah.
So you do have the opportunity to flip them upside down because they're cut in half. So like half of it is one number and half of it's the other. And you're looking for pairs or runs. So you can look at it one way and be like, okay, I have this much. If I flip it the other way, okay, I have, see which hand is better. So that was very interesting that you can't mess with the order of the cards or anything. So I could see why some people would be like, oh my goodness, it's so much luck, or like you have very little control over. But I really enjoyed the puzzle of being like, okay, how many times, like how few moves can I get to where I can get like a very useful hand? Like how many cards do I have to get rid of? How many cards would I have to pick up to make this useful?
Yeah.
And I did pretty well. I mean, I ended up getting
You
second.
ended up getting second, yeah.
I was winning until the last round, and then Derek
I went
ended
out.
it, and I had a bunch in my hand because you get negative points for the cards in your hand. So I had a poor last round, but it was a very interesting, very different like trick taking game, and I always enjoyed a good trick taker.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, okay. So
it's kind of trick taking. Yeah, I mean it is because you're trying to do like runs. And so it's trick. Well, it's hard to tell because like not everybody plays together. Like you play to the left of you, so like you'll play something out, and then the next player will try to like beat whatever you've played. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one to try to figure out like exactly what the mechanism is.
I would say trick taking is like the closest, but it's not a perfect.
I'm actually gonna look it up on BGG because I'm interested to see what they call it. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up that whole mechanism. You have your cards and you cannot move them around your hand. I was just talking to Rado about this, and we're talking about that classic game Bonanza. Do you remember Bonanza?
Yes.
It's the same type of thing. That Uwe Rosenberg, you cannot. And for me, it always fails with me because I am a poker player at heart. The second I get cards in my hand, I'm immediately put them in. Yeah, right, Jimmy. The suits and numbers, and I always screw up that game whenever I play it. So it drives me crazy. But this one, I mean, I would totally give it a shot, and I pretty much love everything that Oink does. So the fact that it's an Oink game,
yeah, ladder climbing is what it's called. So ladder climbing is that mechanism. Super good. And then I got a chance to on BGA, we've got a group of people who play almost nightly on BGA, and we've been playing a lot of Six Nymped recently, which makes me want to absolutely flip a table. I probably will decline to play that game in person because it doesn't go well for me. It is extremely frustrating, but it's also just frustrating for everyone involved. I jokingly called it Masochism, the card game, yesterday because it's just wild. If you've never played Six Nymped, it's a game where you've got 4 or 5 different levels, and you're playing cards in sequential order, but not all the cards are dealt. So in a round, everybody plays a card, and lowest card goes first, highest card goes last, and you're trying to fit them into a row. Well, when there's 5 cards in a row, the row busts, and whoever plays that 5th card has to take all the cards, and then it decreases your points. It's actually a really weird game where everybody starts with 66 points, and it's the first one to lose everything triggers the end.
Oh, okay.
And let me tell you, it is so frustrating, but we play it every night and it's hilarious because we all just yell at each other. So I say that because
this game. I love this game.
No, seriously, that's like it is. We're like, why is this game so fun? But we all hate it. We've been playing Marrakesh, which is on BGA. I don't know if you know anything about Marrakesh.
I love Marrakesh.
So I bought it on eBay because we've been playing so much that it's such a fun,
we don't have enough games.
No, listen, it's going to be one of the first games we do in our segment. Lizzie and I are going to do probably once a month. We're going to do a Tales from the Crypt where we pull out a game that's like 5 years or older, and we are going to live stream it. So Marrakesh is going to be one of those games. Like we want to get these games that are seemingly forgotten. Marrakesh is so good. It is such an unassuming area control game. You're thinking, oh, you're laying down these rugs and like you're trying, and then all of a sudden you get hit for 15 money, and you're like, what? And little Assam is running around, and you're like, what the heck is going on? And it's so unassuming, but it's so cutthroat, and it's really good. So we played that today.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's one of those things like people, hardcore gamers will say, oh, they never play roll and move games. I'm like, play Marrakesh. It is a roll and move game, but it is outstanding. It's got that area control thing. And like you said, totally unassuming. It's like, oh, just roll, move the character around. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, now I owe you like all this money because I landed on your carpet. So much fun. Yeah, highly recommend.
It's so fun. Yeah, so on BGA we play a lot of games on there. Really fun. We played Lucky Numbers recently on there, which is like Sudoku, the game at that point. Really interesting because you're drafting tiles and trying to get them. It's Sudoku, like columns and rows, and they all have to be in sequential order. So like you can't a number that's going to bust you on a row can't be placed in a column and stuff like that. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Okay, I'll stop talking.
I
got the eyes from Lizzie. She's like, will you? All right. Does anybody else have a game that they would like to talk about before we move on? No?
I mean, I do have one more, but I don't want
to do it. No. Okay. No, she was giving me
he
the
was
eyes.
hogging it. He's just like 4 in a row. You're good, Rel. You share.
Okay. So I finally got to play. This one was, I heard a lot of hype about this last year, but Zapotec from Board and Dice. This is a Euro game, a classic Euro. It's just you're getting resources, turning them into other resources, and eventually building stuff. But what this does so well is it gives you that really, I love games like this where it gives you like a full gaming experience in about 45 minutes, less than an hour. Like not like a standard like Euro game that may like take 2 hours or whatever. No, they really streamlined this one. And it's the designer is, I want to say his name correctly, Fabio Lopiano. And he's the gentleman that did Kalimala and Merv and another one. But those are the 2 big hits he's done before. And I played this the other day with my buddy Daryl, and it was an instant hit. Both times, or both of us after the game were like, we got to play this again. It's so good. It's so streamlined, yet it's really tight. I mean, you literally have 5 rounds. That's it. And in each of those rounds, you have a few steps you can take. And it's one of those games where I want to do it all, but I don't have enough, time to do it. I don't have enough actions. And then I want to get this spot, but I know Ruel's going to take it, so I need to do it now. But then I have to wait till later to do my other thing. It's really neat. The main action is basically you each select a card simultaneously, and then whoever has the lower of the 2 cards, the numbers, they go first, and then they get to do their stuff first and resolve. So it's got a little. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It was another one of those games. I wish I would have played it sooner, but I'm glad that I did now. People listening, you can't see it, but it is on the back of my on my shelf and behind me, which means it's a good thing. That's good.
It is. I'm looking a while.
Yeah. So that is Zapotec from Fabio Lopiano at Board and Dice.
Our next segment is brought to you by Kicktraq. Kicktraq is a crowdfunding analytics and discovery platform.
Howdy, partner. It's Derek with the Board Game Spotlight. Today, as part of our Kicktraq Spotlight, we're going to take a look at a game that is currently live on Kickstarter. They are looking to fund, and it's called High Noon Showdown. This is a fast-paced, simultaneous play card game set in, you guessed it, the Wild West, and you are attempting to bring your opponent's life points down to 0. It is a last man standing type situation, and you are going to use your hand of cards in order to attack or defend. So if you're the attacker, you're looking to build out a hand of cards in either a run of numbers or all of the same suit or all the same type of number. And depending on how you do that, you'll be able to deal a certain number of damage to your attacker or to the person you're attacking. Now, if you're trying to defend yourself, you're going to have a hand of cards, and you're going to build this hand of cards. And in order to defend and stop damage, you will play pairs of cards down to the table, and those will stop damage that is coming at you. The game is very fast-paced. It seems like a great game for a game night as far as like a big crowd of players. It looks fairly easy to pick up. There are asymmetric player powers. It plays 3 to 8 players. Some of the characters in the game, you have you have your outlaw, and you have the marshal, and you have a duchess, but there is a space cowboy, which I think is hilarious because, as you can imagine, it's an alien, and I think that's a really funny introduction into the game. That character seems pretty cool, and the asymmetric player powers, the variable player powers, look really interesting too, as far as like bringing in a nice layer of strategy to the game. Otherwise, trying to draw and form your hand of cards in order to attack or defend. So if this sounds like a game that's interesting to you, if you think that your game group would enjoy something like this, I definitely would recommend taking a look at it. They have a print and play pledge. They have a basic pledge for $25. And then they have, pledges for if you want extra copies of the game. So again, High Noon Showdown, which is currently live on Kickstarter. Go take a look at that if that sounds like something that's up your alley. Thanks for listening.
This interview is sponsored by This Little Bean of Mine, bringing you fresh, unique coffee within 2 weeks of roasting. Okay, great. I'm here with Jennifer Graham-Mack from Keymaster Games. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you're over at Keymaster. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what is kind of happening with Keymaster in 2022.
Oh, so it's been a busy year. I can't believe that it's already almost April. So
Right.
I am the community manager over at Keymaster Games. I do community and marketing and a little bit of development there too. We're a small 4 going into 5-6 person team right now. So we all do a little bit of everything. We all wear a lot of different hats. And we've just released Caber Europe, which is our 2-player heisting game set where pits people against each other as masterminds to rob the most luxurious places in Europe. And that's had a really exciting release. We're really glad to have that in people's hands after the Kickstarter. People are loving it. They're getting it to the table. And we're seeing lots of cool things. And so that's a game that we're excited to be putting out and getting onto people's tables right now. And I mean, 2022 is shaping up to be quite a busy year with lots of things that I can't quite talk about yet, but we just announced Parks Wildlife coming this summer. And I think people will find that that's kind of just the beginning of a lot of announcements for us.
Yeah, totally. And then now I've seen some of your products on the shelf at Target, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Parks and Trails are headliners at Target, and we're really excited about that. It's awesome to be on those shelves, and really just helps open, Target is doing such an excellent job curating a collection of games that is giving people an opportunity to join in, creating inroads for new folks to experience board games for the first time or find that first experience. It's very exciting to think about, if we think about our first time playing a board game, I think about it all of the time. And to think that we get to make games that could potentially be somebody's first time like that is pretty cool.
Yeah. And then for me as a someone who's trying to invite people over to game night and hang out with them and do stuff. And then for me to be able to say, oh, by the way, of course I want them to be able to support a local game shop. And thankfully we have one in my town, but not everyone's able to do that. So it's just, I don't know, there's some sense of pride in me to be able to say, oh yeah, it's at Target, just run by there and pick it up. That's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah. And those inroads lead to, a deeper dive. For me, my wife and I bought our first modern board game, outside of the realm of the Monopolies and the Risks and the Scrabbles in our lives. We bought that at Barnes & Noble. We got Fresco. If we were on a date to Barnes & Noble, because we like bookstore dates, and picked up Fresco, and that was kind of it for us. And what that led to was us finding and seeking out hobby stores, taking that deeper dive where, when you buy out all of the games that Barnes & Noble or Target has on the shelves, you're like, what's next? So it led to us going down this path and having those what's amounted to really lifelong friendships with people who also love spending time at the table with us. It's just that open door, and we're happy to have those potential doors open in as many places as possible.
Now, how long has Keymaster been around? I thought I saw that on the website somewhere about when it started and all of that.
Yeah, it's 7 years, almost 8 years now. I believe, started in 2014 because it's the same year as my store. I'm pretty sure that's how that's how I measure things.
Definitely. Well, I just asked that because it's got to be, I mean, in the life of board games, right? Like what you said, there's so many that come and so many that go in a year, and then, the new hot, fresh. But then I think about as a company, like it's still got to feel so brand new, and the hobby is moving so fast now and so many things are coming out. But Keymaster, even though it's been around for 7 years, that still feels pretty young for a company
Oh,
to
yeah.
be feet on the ground and get going and all of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are introduced to new ideas, the possibilities with that manufacturing offers, the cool, really incredible things that publishers are exploring and developing. Just seeing how other publishers and companies kind of push the fold. I'm coming fresh off of literally coming from opening my box of Return to Dark Tower downstairs, and it's hard not to look at that and be like, should we make a plastic tower that's electronic? When are we getting into app code? Right. I don't know. This is not to say that we're doing that, but it's
right.
That's still very exciting for us too. So there's I'm really incredibly proud of the stuff that we've put out and the work that we've done together because I don't just enjoy seeing other people with them on the table. I love to put our games on the table. It's which I think is a kind of a testament to us making right decisions, making those good choices of the what to do next mentality. But there's plenty to learn, and you've got to keep up on your toes, to see what the next possibility could be, even from right now, how to be as environmentally conscious as possible. We're doing things that are very product forward, and we want to keep making excellent products, and we're also trying to push into being as environmentally conscious as possible while we're doing that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So the future is good for Keymaster then. I think that y'all have.
I hope so.
Yeah. So if I had to pin you down and say, what's your favorite Keymaster game? What are you gonna pick?
It is Caper Europe. I do really enjoy Caper Europe. It's such a fun, snappy tug of war game for just two players. It's just Unai Rubio is the designer, and there's just such an excellent game experience, and because there's 4 cities in the game, and you can put different stuff in. It's so great to you can just experience this really wide breadth of strategy opportunities. That's it's just a ton of fun. That's not to say that I don't love the in your head, take that mentality that's in gameplay, that's in Can't Be Creatures, for example. That's our mad scientist game. That's a ton of fun with the right crowd. There's you get people. We play that Can't Be Creatures as a team. The 4 of us play it as a team. It's those are some great games. When you can get the right people to the table playing the right game, that's what it's all about. Then you have tons of great experiences. And of course, I love introducing people to parks. It never ceases to be so inspirational to, maybe that sounds a little cheesy, but to see people experiencing parks for the first time is so much fun.
I was noticing on the gameplay times for these, parks, 40 to 70 minutes, Can't Be Creatures, I can't read there, but maybe 30 minutes on that, 20 to 30 minutes. Caper, it looked like it was maybe somewhere in the same time frame. So is that a topic of discussion at Keymaster, length of game? Are you trying to hit a certain time frame, or is it just whatever makes sense for the game?
Yeah, no, it's it is yes. The answer is yes to both of those. To a certain extent, it is what makes sense to the game, but we don't want games to really feel like they're overstaying their welcome at the table. Caper Europe plays in 30 minutes, but really like you can crank out a game of that in 20. Trails is the same way. Like at a 4-person, you're kind of pushing into that 30-minute range, but like it really maxes out at that. And Space Park is the same way. They're if you're having a great time, and like it just kind of comes to a conclusion. These games kind of like there's just a moment. It's trying to find that right moment where it feels good to stop a game, or things don't push into this really like drawn out territory. And it's great if people are having a good time at the table and things go a little longer, as long as that feels kind of natural. But we really we don't want people to feel like there's a ton of downtime in between their turns. We want them to kind of stay engaged in the thing that they're doing or enjoy something new,
I love that, and I'm totally in that camp too. I'm with you there. That I love, especially when I'm bringing new people to the table, to give them an experience that they walk away and almost say, "Oh, is it over already?" As opposed to when is. I was at a game night once, and one of the people that was explaining it, they were tired of the game and they were just in the teach. They hadn't even gotten to the table yet, so it was pretty tough. So I do appreciate this time frame that you have. To me, like 90 minutes is like the top of the range where most people are comfortable sitting down at the table and trying something out. So anyways, I'm a fan.
No. It's just there is really that realism. We're a company that values bringing family to the table. So we as we all have families, and we definitely bring that into our development process. This idea that like, hey, we don't have days and days. There's not just this open-ended euphoria of gameplay. As much as we would love to do that, my wife and I were recently learning a new game, and it literally took us all day to learn and play through the game. And as much as I enjoy that game, now that I have played it and understand it, as much as that's intriguing to me, there's other things. It's okay. I have many hobbies that are not board game hobbies, maybe too many, but I really enjoy doing them. We enjoy in the summertime being outside gardening. I do a little fly fishing. We go camping. There's lots of stuff. We want to be able to do those things and also bring this along with us, as opposed to making it this domineering factor.
Yes, no, I totally understand, because board gamers tend to be very obsessive about some of this, and we do expect the world to fall in love with games the way that we do, and people do have hobbies, and people do have loves and passions, and so that's great. I appreciate that. So,
and all of those things inspire us to, like if we didn't have the loves and passions for being outside, parks wouldn't exist, right? Wow. Like that's that's where that comes from, is those other passions. So making time for those other passions that get us excited to take these sort of beats, these moments, to reflect on them and celebrate them at the table with people is, we want those things to live in harmony with each other.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. So, well, great. Well, it has been a joy talking with you today. I appreciate it so much. And for people to find out more about your company, where should they go?
Yeah, so you can find Keymaster at keymastergames.com for all of our new products coming up. In fact, we've got a pre-order going on right now for some board game game night swag. It's a collaboration with Chutzpah Design. They made an incredible t-shirt. You can pick it up on our website right now. If you want to follow us on social media for new and upcoming news on all the things that I can't talk about right this second, you can find us at Keymaster Games.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It has been great talking with you.
Thanks so much.
And now for Industry Insider, where we pull back the curtain to talk about what it takes to make the board games that we love.
All right, so we're going to move into the last segment where we are going to talk about Gamma. I know I was the only one that went to Gamma.
It means him.
I mean, no, but like I'm sure people saw Gamma. Maybe some other people have been to Gamma. I mean, we know Gamma runs Origins. I mean, it's the game, association that does what we do in this industry, right? So GAMA was really awesome this year. There was more content creators at the show than ever before, which was great. I was able to meet, some people I had not met, or at least was able to spend more time with people that I'd met previously, like Grant Lyon and Daniel Strandring and Kidsplaining, the Burrells, Devin Norris. I mean, there were so many content creators there, and we had such a great time getting to know each other and hanging out. And seeing the show. I just want to give a huge shout out to Rachel Blask. Is it Blask or Blasky? I never know. But Rachel, you did an amazing job with coordinating everything as the events, coordinator and manager and everything that she's been doing there. So kudos, hats off to you. It was a great show. I went for Wise Wizard mostly, though, as their new director of game development. So it was my first time to actually be with Robin, the team, and get a chance to kind of like osmosis, pull in as much information I could, just listening to him talk about what Wise Wizard does. And meeting retailers, it was just a really cool experience. There were no sales there. It was just publishers showing off their games to retailers and giving games to retailers so that they could have demo copies. Or giving some games to content creators. Like some of the new ones I saw from Floodgate, there's a game called Decorum, which is about like feng shui and like rearranging a house, which sounded really interesting. They had one about kites, which is a cooperative real-time game where kites are flying and you play a kite, and there's like 5 or 6 different sand timers, and you play a kite color, and you have to make sure that the sand timer never expires. Okay. So it was very interesting, very frantic. Watched that one. So it was just a really cool experience. And I'm glad that they have expanded GAMA trade show to content creators because it really affords publishers more of a chance to talk. At shows, we're so busy as a publisher demoing games, making sales, meeting your fans and everything that it's tough to be able to sit down and talk to content creators, right? Or for content creators to even get an interview or pictures or video. And so I think that's going to be something that I'm really excited for them to continue doing, because I think it's really important to publishers. Does anybody have anything to add about GAMA? I don't know if I mean, did you go a couple years ago, Ruel, in 2020?
I did not, and I appreciate you sharing your experiences, because I know this is the first show where they really made an effort to reach out to those content creators, and like you said, Derek, I think it's exciting, and I think it's great that content creators now have more access to not only publishers but to each other at an event like this, where you can meet someone, spend more time with them, get to know them, and also share resources, and I think it's a great thing, and I'm glad to hear that your experience was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I got to see some really cool games that aren't released yet. I got to, like, one of my favorite parts about it was game nights. Every night from like 9 to 11, you would go to this big ballroom, and they'd have tons of tables, and you could just play the new games coming out. Like Jay Cormier had his new game, Draw the Line, I think is what it's called. Sounds really interesting. It's a party game. I didn't get a chance to demo that, but I watched people playing it, and everybody was having a great time there. Got to see a lot of just new stuff, and that was super fun. So
yeah, and they're moving to Kentucky in a couple of years.
They are moving to Kentucky. Louisville, which will be great for us, worse for people on the West Coast.
Well, I think everyone is happy that it's moving out of Reno, though. I think that was a very difficult place to get in and out of.
I heard about a lot of like canceled flights and stuff like that. I heard there was, I heard like even like some publishers were there like a day late because of stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was tough. So Louisville, Kentucky is where it's going to be in 2024. I'm really looking forward to that one. Driving distance for us. So it'll be cool.
Nice.
I mean, anything's driving distance if you put your heart into it.
I mean, that's true. I saw people actually drive to Reno from like the Midwest, and I was like, wow, okay. All right.
I mean, we drove to California how many times?
I don't even want to think about it.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, we did.
It is a long drive.
Oh man, we've done 3 or 4 cross country moves.
We've done 2 fully cross country, and we've done 2 Illinois to California back to Illinois.
Yeah, it's wild.
I
don't want to do that.
How long does that take y'all to? What? I mean, I'm assuming it's at least a 2-day drive, right?
Oh yeah. So the first time we did Georgia to California, and like with the Army, because that's when we were moving for the first couple times, they don't want you to do more than like 5. Like obviously, like you're driving as much as you want, but like they try to like spread it out more and be like, don't drive more than like 5 or 6 hours. So we did it pretty leisurely. I think we did it in like a week, and we did a lot of sightseeing because we didn't get
cool.
a honeymoon. We got married and moved like straight to Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
We had to move our wedding like a whole month. It was like a whole thing. So we kind of treated that as like our little honeymoon. So we went to Florida. We went to Baton Rouge. We went to Nassau. We hit the Alamo. We hit we drove through Roswell. That was not worth it. And then we did the Grand Canyon, and then we did Vegas before we made it all the way to our new home.
Wow.
So that one was actually probably like the best trip. We did a lot of like triple D, like diners, drive-ins, and dives restaurants.
I love doing that.
We planned out like this huge road trip. Like we had like everything marked down. Like we're gonna have lunch here. We are going to have dinner here. We went to is it Santa? Wait, where is Albuquerque?
Albuquerque, yes.
What's it
There
called?
was a Mexican restaurant there, right? Is that what we're talking about?
No, that was in.
Okay.
That was in Arizona when we saw the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
I'm talking about the show
Albuquerque?
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yes, Breaking Bad.
Did you go
Yes.
to Los Pollos Hermanos? Or?
I think Derek wanted to, and I wasn't like into the show, so I was like, but like I think we went by like the car wash or something, and Derek was like, it's the car wash. And I was like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
Okay, you're excited.
Yeah, Lizzie's never watched Breaking Bad.
You made me watch like 2 episodes, and I was
I didn't
like,
make you. I said you want to watch this, and then it
strongly
wasn't for
encouraged. I was like, no, I don't want to watch it. And he's like, watch an episode or 2, and I watched 2 episodes, and I said no.
Yeah.
I said this is
Which
not
fair.
for me.
Which is fair.
I was
That show
that's fair.
was incredible, but it was a one-time watch for me. I can't watch that multiple times.
Yeah.
It's just pretty heavy. But yeah, we love diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh yeah.
We still like look up like we're gonna travel. Like, is there anything close we can hit? You know, to go take a look at,
or just like anything from Food Network, because there's so many great creators on there, and so it's really helped get Derek out of his like comfort zone of like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Derek is like burgers, chicken fettuccine, and like
pizza.
Like he's a very simple, like, I've eaten this, I know it's good. I'm not gonna like.
I'm a safe eater.
Me just getting him to like add an egg to his burger was revolutionary.
But amazing. Well
best thing ever. Yes. I love that though. So you would just you would plan your trips around, diners, drivers in. That's something Michelle and I would do. The last road trip we did a few years ago, going up the Pacific Coast, we had an app. I think it was called like Roadside America or something. And it was like we would just go and drive along, and I'd be driving Michelle, or either one of us would look on the app. I was like, oh, hey, there's a big giant olive on the side of the road here. Let's go stop by there and take a picture. Just random stuff like that. It's like, oh, here's, a place known for its, coffee or chicken or whatever. And so it's a lot of fun. We found, we stopped in Oregon, and we found a big mural of The Simpsons, and it was in Springfield, Oregon. Of course, so Springfield for Simpsons fans out there. Yeah. So random thing. I love doing random things like that on the road. I feel like that's, such a cool thing to do.
Did you drive to Vegas when you went to Dice Tower West?
Yeah.
So did you pass that sculpture? What is it, like the 7 something?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, what is that? Like, I keep seeing, because we would fly out of Vegas when we lived out there. And so we're like, what is this? What is it? And I think one time we stopped and we're like, this was not worth it.
No, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it's just rocks, just colored rocks, and you take your
photo and cool. Okay? It's art, okay?
It's art. It is art, yeah.
It got us to stop. It piqued our interest.
It did its job.
Yep.
But
so I want to know before we sign off. I'm gonna throw everybody a curveball, but it shouldn't be a hard one. Okay. I want to know, what is one game off your shelf of opportunity that you are looking forward to trying out in the next few weeks. So it's not. Hopefully, it's not hard. I know we can look at our shelf of opportunity. I've got some stuff over here, Lizzie, and then kind of some stuff that's over there. But
I
will start. I am looking forward to learning Ignite. Ignite is an asymmetric battler game that looked phenomenal on Kickstarter. I can't remember the designer's name, but he reached out to me and asked if we could review it, and I said absolutely. I mean, it looks really cool. There are some really neat things going on. It had gotten some pretty good reviews that I'd seen, and I am looking forward to learning that because it's supposed to be pretty good at 2 players.
Okay, well, I'll go. I looked up the game. Today we got from the Sorcerer's Arena.
Yes!
So Derek played it online. I think you were the first one to play it online, and then you talked to them at Gamma.
I was one of the first content creators.
Okay, yeah. So they sent us a copy. Derek has been raving about it. I love
it's
all
so
things
good,
Disney.
though.
I love. So I think it's gonna be a real fun time. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Derek hypes up a lot of stuff, but he's usually right about it.
I mean, I think I have decent taste,
You
honestly.
do have good taste. I'm just teasing you.
Very juice, though.
I mean, we can't argue with that.
Jimmy, what about you?
This is a throwback. This might be one for your crypt where you said you're bringing back the dead, but I still have yet to play Power Grid, and I've got that on the shelf, and I want to play it.
Nice.
That's a great game.
Derek loves that game.
We played that so much with my old game group.
It's so crazy because I know that there are different versions, lots of maps and all that kind of stuff. So it could be one of those rabbit holes that if it works out and I love it, maybe there's just a ton of stuff, especially that I can pick up, used or secondhand or whatever, because I know that some people might have moved on. But it's one of those games I've got on the shelf and I picked it up from a friend. It's in pristine condition. And so I don't know if he's played it very much, but I've heard great things about it. So I've got high hopes for this classic and hopefully it holds up. Power Grid.
Nice.
Very cool. Ruel, how about you?
I've got one. You actually mentioned it earlier, Maglev Metro. It's
Yes.
got a brand new copy. It's still in shrink. I'm waiting to bust that thing out and get it to the table. It's a pick up and deliver game, right?
It is a pick up and deliver game. Yep.
Route
when you're
building.
route building.
With the acrylic tiles.
With acrylic tiles that overlap, and it's so
Oh
cool.
my gosh.
It's a good
so
one. You're going to love it.
can't
I actually got to see the new maps at Gamma. Got to see those, and they look really cool. Asymmetric maps with like very different ways to. Oh, it's going to be a lot of
Hey,
fun.
he hasn't played the original. Give him a chance.
Sorry.
Oh no. I wanted to hear what Derek had to say because I just seen the bare minimum of it. So maybe what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it this weekend. I'm going to at the very least open it, set it up, and then put it away and play it a year from now.
Isn't that what we all do?
At least we're all honest about it with each other. We can tell each other.
The first thing I do when I get a new game is I open it, I look at it, I'm like, oh, these pieces are cool. That's really neat. I read the rule book, I put it away.
Put it away.
And then I find rule books all over the house. I'm like, why is this just like on the couch? Why is this like falling underneath the couch?
Yeah.
This one's on the stairs.
Nice.
How did it get here?
That's true. I'm always like reading rule books and then just setting them down. I'm notorious for
Just
that.
put them down, yeah.
And then we go to play the game. It's like, where's the rule book? Oh, could be anywhere at this point.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you've had a good time. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions for anything that you'd like to hear, please let us know in the comments. And that's all I got. I'm going to shut up now.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. And we will catch you next time on the Board Game Spotlight podcast.
See you later.
Bye.
And that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors and our wonderful Patreon supporters. We'll see you next time on the Board Game Spotlight podcast.